Alright, here's a bit of backstory before we get into the main topic of this video. Skip to this part if you don't want to hear me ramble on. Okay, so it's 2020, it's the pandemic, everyone is bored out of their minds in lockdown, and I am no exception. Around the middle half of 2020, like between I don't know, July to October of 2020, I would try my absolute hardest to keep myself entertained during the pandemic. I'm sure everyone has that one specific thing that helped them get through the pandemic, and well, I'm not an exception to that either. Naturally, I'm bored out of my mind trying to find a way to keep myself entertained, and so I would watch a lot of YouTube, and I mean a lot of YouTube. And among the YouTube channels that I would watch was this channel named Hoodoo Hoodlum's Revenge, a YouTuber who would read all kinds of bad creepypastas. Top 10 worst SpongeBob creepypastas, top 10 worst Sonic creepypastas, top 10 worst Mario creepypastas, top 10 worst Simpsons creepypastas, top 10 worst Family Guy creepypastas, you name it. There's something for everyone here. Now obviously, having grown up in the early 2010s, I did have nostalgia for creepypastas and lost episodes and whatever. I knew that they weren't good, but I still had a tiny bit of a soft spot for them. Although I will say, it will never not be embarrassing to me the fact that at one point I thought Sonic with red and black eyes was the scariest thing ever. And so these videos, in addition to being funny and entertaining and making me nostalgic for the creepypasta era of the internet, also made the pandemic significantly more tolerable for me. And then one day, the ingenious idea came to me. Hey, why don't I make my own creepypasta reading videos? Now, interestingly enough, even though this was back during the pandemic, this was also during a time when I didn't really take YouTube as seriously as I do now. And so these were videos that I would just make for the hell of it, videos that I would make just for fun. Very recently, I got reminded of these videos, and I decided to look back on them just for nostalgia's sake, and yeah, these videos haven't exactly aged all that well. I mean, I could never hate these videos. I'm not ashamed of them or anything like that. If anything, I think the kind of low-quality amateur feel of them adds to the charm, you know? It really highlights that, yeah, these were made by a bored teenager trying to make the pandemic more tolerable. I could never hate these videos, but I understand they're not very good videos, and there are several flaws in them. Bad audio quality, bad editing, tons of stutters, that f***ing watermark. It's a disaster, really. The bad microphone quality really gets to me in particular because, holy crap, I do not remember the microphone quality sounding this bad. I don't even think I had a microphone at the time, which, you know, that just makes it even worse.
Let's just think about this. This is a creepypasta based on Drake and Josh. Drake and f***ing Josh. How do you make that scary? How do you make Drake and Josh scary? You just can't.
Very recently, an idea came up in my head to remake several of these old creepypasta videos just for the hell of it, just for fun. It's October, why not? Not only that, but I also want to bring justice to these stories, I guess, by reading them with significantly better audio quality and with actual editing. And also no watermark as well, that's an extra plus. And so the first one of these creepypastas that we're gonna read is Drake and Josh Lost Episode. Yeah, someone managed to make a Lost Episode creepypasta for Drake and Josh of all things. I don't know how the hell you can do that, but somehow they did it. Anyways, let's get on with the story. Hiya, my name is Rick Lander. I have no idea if that's the author's real name or not. The story is credited to a user named Rick Lander, so something tells me this is the author's real name, in which I'm pretty sure I'm screwed if that ends up being the case. I read this story all the way back in 2020. This story is at least 5 years old. This story is at least half a decade old. I think it's very likely this story could be even older than that. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a really old story from like I don't know, 2011, 2012, 2013, you know, the peak era of creepypastas. But I'm just gonna say this anyways, when you're writing a creepypasta, don't include your real name in it, okay? It's as simple as that. Anyways, let's continue on with the story. I once had a unique and creepy experience involving a season 4 disc of Drake and Josh. I was at a yard sale in Salem, New Hampshire. I saw a disc of Drake and Josh season 4 and thought I should buy it. You saw a disc or a DVD or whatever, I don't know. Was it just a disc, like a singular disc and that's it? Or did it come with a box? Did it come with a case? Did it come with anything like that? Or was it just a disc and that's it? I approached a tall, slender woman who was running the sale. Oh, be careful, man. That could be Slender Man in disguise for all we know. She wore a pinstripe suit and was sipping a glass of water, which I want to imagine will be very important information for this story. I'm so glad the author decided to tell us what suit she was wearing. I feel like that will be very relevant information for this story. She asked what the matter was, and I just said I was hoping to buy the DVD and asked how much it was. She said I could have it for free. I said I'll buy it and walked off with the DVD. As I left, I could have sworn I heard her say, "Thank God that's off my hands," but it had to be my imagination. Ah yes, I've never seen this cliche before in a creepypasta. I got home and sat down on the couch just looking at the disc. It was in almost perfect condition and I got it for free. Yeah, you've previously established that you got it for free. I don't know why you have to repeat it again. It showed Drake and Josh just standing next to each other in an outside environment. Upon closer examination, I saw Megan standing in the far distance with her arms folded and a creepy grin on her face. I didn't care why, so I just proceeded to open the case. Inside was the disc. The disc had a special copy written in Sharpie on it, so I was left wondering why it was special. Maybe it contained bonus material. Maybe someone just decided to write that to get the buyer's hopes up. I didn't know. I popped it into the TV and went into episode select. Oh damn, I didn't know you could just pop DVDs into TV. I thought you needed a DVD player in order for them to work, but I guess not. Since season 4 was the last season, I wanted to watch the last episode, which I was very fond of. It was there, but what I saw interested me more. There was an episode after it. The episode was called Megan's Big Day. I assumed maybe it was bonus material. I thought maybe it was a planned episode and was cancelled, and this DVD might have been the only known recording of it. With that thought in mind, I jumped up and let out a weird geekish squeal. Okay then, I was fooled completely. I almost immediately selected the episode. The intro started up as usual, however the song playing on the intro seemed to be slower than usual, and the singing was deeper. Very slightly though. I thought my mind was just playing tricks on me. The episode started up with a panoramic shot of the outside of their house, then it showed Drake and Josh in their room. Drake was playing the guitar on the couch, and Josh was pacing back and forth, reading a textbook out loud. Drake asked Josh to stop reading out loud, and then Josh asked Drake to stop playing his guitar so loud. They got into an argument as usual, bickering, the both of them, and now it's at this point where I have to remind you all that we are indeed reading a genuine, serious, honest-to-God creepypasta about Drake and Josh. I get it, you know, it's possible to make a Lost Episode Creepypasta out of anything. If a TV show exists, there is a Lost Episode Creepypasta for it. But something about having it be Drake and Josh just feels really absurd. I mean, honestly, how do you make Drake and Josh scary? Really? How do you make this scary? Well, actually, never mind. I could think of a certain someone who could make it very scary very easily. I never thought I'd make Drake and Josh scary, but I found a way. I found the way. I'm so sorry for that, okay? That was my horrible attempt at humor. They got into an argument as usual, bickering, the both of them. I was left wondering why the episode was called Megan's Big Day. Suddenly, Walter burst into the room and started screaming at them, telling them to stop arguing and that Megan was trying to practice her oboe in the living room. Okay, I know that like the dad in Drake and Josh is actually named Walter, but I'm just imagining it's Walter White in this story, and that just makes the story even funnier than it already is. They said they were sorry, and then they got into an argument with Walter. Keep in mind, I'm giving you the abridged version. They argued for about 3 minutes, and you decided to watch all 3 minutes of them arguing? Why? I was getting bored when I suddenly heard the mom's voice. She just yelled, "Downstairs, now!" This is when the episode took an unexpected turn. Upon going downstairs, Megan and her mom were sitting at the table with a demonic, creepy grin. The same grin on the cover of the DVD case, I thought. Megan said nothing but, "Hi, boobs," and started hyperventilating. Yes, I have to remind you all, this is a serious story. This is not like a joke creepypasta or anything like that. This was made with serious intentions. This is supposed to actually be scary to y'all. One thing I realized was that their eyes were very shiny, glazed over, and looked almost possessed. I was pretty freaked out by now. I could do nothing but think about what the lady that ran the yard sale said. Thank God that's off my hands. The mom began to hyperventilate too. Drake, Josh, and Walter stood there, looking scared out of their minds. Suddenly, the screen faded to black. I assumed that would be where the commercial break would be to run, but what faded back still creeps me out to this day. What faded back was a picture of Drake and Josh, but one thing was off. They were both hung on a tree branch. Their eyes were shut and their faces were pale. Megan was seen standing next to them with the same demonic smile. How can a smile be demonic exactly? But the one weird thing was that it was a still image. Yes, you've already established this is an image. I don't know why you have to bring that up again. It faded away to fade back as the show again. Drake, Josh, and Walter were slowly backing away as Megan and the mom rose slowly from their chairs. The mom quietly said, "So Megan, tell the nice boys about the news." Megan twitched and said nothing. She slowly took her oboe out from behind her back and approached Drake, Josh, and Walter. Walter had ran out of the room as soon as she did. She suddenly ran at the two, screaming bloody murder. She began whacking Drake in the head, Josh staring in awe, too shocked to do anything. I cringed when Drake's head started bleeding and he fell to the floor. Josh squealed and the screen faded to black again. Knowing something terrible would fade back, I prepared for the worst. The screen faded back to show Drake's bloodied body lying on the living room floor, and oboe lying next to him. Once again, it was a still image. What faded back was footage of Josh being bludgeoned with Megan's oboe. So when I first read this story, I had no idea what bludgeoned meant, and I thought it meant stabbing, but it doesn't. It sounds like a word that would mean stabbing, if that makes sense. But no, it means to hit someone. Megan is hitting Josh with her oboe. I see no reason to include big words in what is, again, a fucking Drake and Josh creepypasta, but whatever. And the mom was kicking him over and over again. Megan eventually cracked his neck and Josh fell to the floor. Megan and her mom cackled an evil laugh, and suddenly a still shot of Drake and Josh's bloodied bodies next to each other flashed on screen. Thankfully, I didn't see it long because the DVD player and the TV just shut off. I picked up the DVD and looked at it. Instead of saying special copy, it said Doom. Just Doom. The TV turned back on and simply said, "Turn around," in black text. Oh wow, this is such an original trope. I've never seen this in any other creepypasta before. I just had to turn around. Behind me, I saw Megan holding an oboe. I jumped about 50 feet in the air and my heart started beating rapidly. Okay, well this just became a f***ing cartoon now. Listen, this story is inherently stupid by default. default. It's a creepypasta about Drake and Josh, for God's sake. But prior to this, there was a tiny bit of an attempt to have it be taken seriously. There was a very, very, very small part of me that could see someone reading this and getting scared by it, but now we've reached a point where it's just ridiculously cartoony and goofy. On the bright side though, this does add to the funny bad nature of this story. She had a green face scarred on the cheek, which is very interesting wording. I get what the author is trying to convey. She has a scar on her cheek, and yet for some reason he decides to word it this way. I don't know why. She looked like a zombie. She hissed, the loudest hiss I've ever heard in my life, and attempted to stick the oboe into my chest. I swerved at the last minute, screaming my head off, and dashed towards my workshop. Upon entering the workshop, I sat and caught my breath. I took the nearest hammer and dashed back into the living room. Megan was standing there with an angry face, her oboe in her left hand. I took the DVD and smashed it into pieces with the hammer. Almost immediately, she faded out and, with the loudest scream I ever heard, disintegrated. Ever since then, I looked back at that experience as the scariest and most unbelievable thing that's ever happened to me. I visited the house where the yard sale took place to find out that the owners had moved away, and that the house just looked like a barren hunk of wood. This experience is still not explained, and I could find no information about Megan's big day anywhere on the internet. Well, that was an anticlimactic ending, considering the fact that this is a Drake and Josh creepypasta, combined with how unhinged the story would become by the end. I was hoping the ending would be funny at the very least, but I guess not. I don't know what to say about this story, really. I'm not sure what anyone would have expected from a f***ing Drake and Josh creepypasta. However, I will say that this story is entertaining to read, in part because of the fact that it's a Drake and Josh creepypasta, as well as how idiotic things would get towards the end of the story. At the very least, the story is funny bad. It's enjoyable to read. Again, this story is likely very old. I have no idea how old it is. I read it all the way back in 2020, so it's at least 5 years old. It's at least half a decade old. But wherever Rick Lander is, I hope he's doing good. If he's still writing creepypastas to this day, I can only hope that they are a massive step up from whatever this is, relying less on common tropes and cliches that are found in Lost Episode Creepypastas, being more grounded in reality. I guess there's nothing wrong with making a Lost Episode Creepypasta that's like all fantastical and whatever, but I think for these kinds of stories, it works better to just have them be mostly grounded in reality, instead of having, oh, but the character in the episode came into the real world and started attacking me. It's like, it ruins everything. It ruins the suspense that the story had of it potentially being a real thing, something that I could see being realistic. And hopefully they have considerably less bizarre subject matters than this story. Seriously, I am impressed this person tried to make Drake and Josh scary. I thought Dan Schneider was the only guy who was able to make it scary. Well, he was the only one that was able to succeed in making it scary. That's the big difference right there. Anyways, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing, as it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I'll see y'all next time. Adios.